Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. It is Sunday, the 6th of April. It is just under 3 hours until the Reds kick off at Craven Cottage right now. And it's a funny one, isn't it, people? Because when you look at the league, when you look at the situation, maybe not as, maybe stressed is too strong, but relaxed enough is maybe the right phrase going into this one. I'm your normal host, Dave Davis, coming to you from a pretty sunny Edinburgh. It's not the warmest just now, so hopefully it's going to warm up a bit, but it has the feel that just give me another 5 or 6 degrees and we can get the Barbie out type of thing. We'll see how that develops. But anyway, it's all about the build-up to Fulham. The Reds play. There is nothing more important to talk about right now, is there? And with this one, it's kind of defined a little bit by yesterday. And I never make any apologies for showing the table where we are 11 points clear with a game in hand. But it's shaped by yesterday, wasn't it? Everton won, Arsenal won. And my God, have they cried and cried and cried about this one. It's almost like a bingo a little bit with Arsenal fans, isn't it now? Like, are you blaming the PGMOL? Are you blaming the injuries? Like the decisions, just rinse, repeat type of thing. So they were all over the penalty that wasn't yesterday. Just ignoring the fact again, I watched that game. Arsenal were abject largely. And also, let's just be clear, Mikel Arteta, you saw in that lineup, Lego head, when he picks those players, he'd half given up on the league. He had one eye on Real Madrid. I don't necessarily blame them too much on that, but we'll just ignore all that, Arsenal fans, shall we? That Saka and Martinelli started on the bench. We'll just pretend, Anyway, and people are seeing Liverpool fans responding to him. Drink the tears in. Let it just wash all over you, because honestly, it's just funny if anything else. But what does it mean for us and for our fortunes? Well, 7-8 fingers on the title now, really, isn't it? But here's what's important to know. The most Arsenal can finish or win is a further 21 points. By the way, they're tracking below 2 points a game for all those, great team that's been robbed by injuries. But anyway, the most they can win is 21 points, which takes them to 83. So as it stands right now, and yes, there's always permutations and changes, another 11 points will win Liverpool the title, which means that actually it adds a little bit of flavour to the Fulham game, because you want to win it in front of your own fans. That's always the best way, isn't it, realistically? So if you look at those games, if Liverpool win them all and they win this one today, it means that Spurs would be, if Arsenal win, I know there's further permutations, where it looks most likely. And I've always thought it would be the Spurs game. And I know Leicester, you want to win it up the week before as early as possible, but it is always special when it is won in front of your fans. Just personal opinion. Abdul Rahim saying Fulham Liverpool lineup and predictions. Next up, Abdul, to be honest, exactly what I'm thinking. Now, we're still waiting for team news. We're all hoping Alisson Becker is right back in. Let's be completely honest, because I think it would be sort of 15, 16 days since that concussion injury, and Liverpool should take no chances whatsoever. Let's just be crystal clear on that. But yeah, you want the holy goalie back in the goal. VVD, Canate, Robbo, they're going to play. There's zero doubts about that. The right back situation, now, because it's Fulham, it would not surprise me whatsoever. And if you ask me to bet right now, I don't say this with any confidence, but I think Jarell Quansah might be in for this one. The reason for that is, if you look at Fulham, a lot of their play starts down the right, but they switch it to the left. And they'll be looking at Robinson at fullback and Iwobi there. And if he starts Curtis Jones, which is possible, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I just wonder if maybe a position where he doesn't play and it's a completely different game to the derby and the way Everton set up, I think Fulham would target Curtis Jones. down that left. And that's just my inkling. Kwanzaa at right back. Would it surprise me if it is Curtis Jones? Absolutely not at all. What would also be nice, wouldn't it, people, even if Conor Bradley's on the bench, just some minutes to sort of bring him back to the season, because the odds are he's going to be the first choice right back next campaign. So that's what I see. I don't think you see any changes in midfield. It's Mac, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai there. The forward line. Yeah, it's tough on this. I think Mo Salah is on the right. We know that anyway. It would be hard to drop Diogo Jota after scoring the winner in the derby. And he tends to be a streaky player. He scored against Fulham last season as well. So I think he'd get the nod. Luis Diaz got an assist, you'd argue. And, he's got 14 goal contributions in the Premier League. People will argue Cody Gakpo this as well. I get that. I completely get that. I just think he'll plump for Gakpo. That's who I think he will go with. But again, would I bet money against Diaz? Wouldn't stick a single cent on it at all. I'm more relaxed about this game because of everything that's happening. You want to win. Of course you want to win every game. But let's just be brass tacks about it. Draw ain't bad. Win's good. Draw ain't bad at all. Abdul saying there as well, yeah. Playing Fulham, West Ham, Leicester City, Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Palace. That's all running. Keep racking up those wins. Yeah, you want it done as early as possible. I completely get that. It would be nice to win it. And my prediction for this, I'm going to sound like a right politician. My heart is saying 2-1. My head is saying 1-1. But my heart, which we're going to go with, is Mo Salah 2-1, which will be a great way to complete or start Sunday afternoon. And then there's some two teams down the East Lancs Road playing some sort of charity event, I think. So, yeah, you might watch that later on. Stories from AI with your content. There is plenty going on. And let's be honest, a lot of it just simply relates to transfers. So you look at some of the players that have had articles written about them or that we're reporting on at AI, and you might be thinking, who? You might be thinking, that will be good. You might be thinking different things. But the first one, which is probably the who, Rayan, Vasco da Gama, attacking youngster. I think naturally people will be looking at that and going who, which I was doing a bit of a delve. If you go on to FBref, won in the performance in the Copa Sudamericana. So people will be thinking, who the heck is this kid? To be honest, a little bit the same for me. So we went digging as we do at AI, and we got information from one of our South American experts. So shout out to Tom Robertson, and I'll tell you what he sent me. He said he's been touted for a number of years, Rayan. He's been around the under-17 and under-20 Brazil teams as well. He's big and he's skillful, but there's a few question marks about his end product at the moment. 25 million is the rumoured fee. Whilst that's a lot for a brilliant Brazilian teenager, these days it probably represents that value of the level just below elite generational talent. And as Tom gives the reference, he's not putting him in the Esteban, Endrick column, more in the big potential, but you have to accept if you do it, there's a slight gamble. And he references a few players like Luis Guilherme, not really happened for him at West Ham, has it? Victor Rice went to Manchester City, but I don't know if he's played a single minute. Someone will have to correct me on that. So that's who we're referencing with Rayan. So that's the first one to mention. Other names that you see there, Liverpool to sell Luis Diaz to Barcelona, but a player trade. And yeah, there's names, as Abdul says there, Liverpool need a multitude of positions. Jamie Carragher, I think he said 6, wasn't it, the other day? Whether it's the same positions or not, I think most people will agree. But if you can see the photo there, ladies and gents, the name, Ronald Araujo. An interesting one. He really hasn't played much this season. He had a horrendous injury, so that's got to come into the thinking potentially there. The other element that comes into the thinking with this story, well, he only signed a Barcelona contract a few months ago. That's important to say. And if we're scrolling down his profile, I mean, look at that. He's already missed 30 games this season. So all that has got to be taken into account. At the same time, Barca are in a legal battle, aren't they? So who knows about their finances with La Liga? They may have to still go on further for Pau Victor and Dani Olmo. We'll have to see. For those who've watched Araujo and seen him, exceptional centre-half on the ball. Exceptional centre-half. And I mean, for those that can see the screen in his FBref profiles, it's high 90s for all his attacking statistics. Exceptional. I mean, per 90, around 78 passes. That's outstanding. 92nd percentile. Pass completion, outstanding. Doesn't move with it, it's important to say. His FBref profiles well there. But he is just exceptional at passing on the ball. Aerially as well, in the 91st percentile. Now, if we go down to his aerial stats, because that's always something we reference, because we have got behemoths in Van Dijk, in Canate at the back. People will look and say, hold on, it's only 58% this season. But that's based on sod all game time, people. And if you look at his previous years, 73%. 63, 71.4. So it's about what you're talking normally there. So it's one of those, this story, to be honest, that I'm going to save it for the transfer show a little bit. But Barcelona have talked to Liverpool. I don't think anyone's got any doubts about that. Barcelona's finances are well known. There's no doubts about that. The players Liverpool like, I'm not convinced Ronald is one of them. There's another one we've heard, but we'll save that for the transfer show. Interesting. Other names, and you can see Boubacar Kamara, Villa, there's a contract standoff to talk about. So this was a few have written about this. Potential links to a couple of Aston Villa players in the form of, as you can see there, Boubacar Kamara, but also Morgan Rogers. Now, David Ornstein in his Q&A mentioned the other day that there's a lot of big suitors who like the look of Morgan Rogers. Just to be clear, I mean, we've done some digging. I asked, no doubt Liverpool like Morgan Rogers. No doubt all the big clubs like Morgan Rogers. In simple terminology, what's not to like? Yeah, fast, rapid, powerful, young, English, so homegrown, all the things you would like Morgan Rogers has got. And when you look at it, his FBref profile on the surface, some might go, mix. But the one thing I would say about Morgan Rogers is he's played 5 different positions this season for Villa. He's been left, he's been right. They actually played him once in the false 9 when they had a few injuries with Duran and Watkins earlier as well, the attacking midfield. He is so multifunctional. He is that good. The other thing to really call out in Morgan Rogers is he's got 24 goal contributions at 22 years old. Yeah? 13 goals, 11 assists. And that's playing a multitude of positions. And that's also 13 goals, whilst only averaging, if you look at his shots per game, and remember Bart's always talks about a Liverpool forward averaging about 3, maybe more higher. He's averaging 1.82, below 2 shots per 90 minutes. And he's still getting that many. So, yeah, I know Kieran B, when he's saying that graph ain't looking good, I think it's missing context completely. Trust me, the chance of this happening are minimal. We need Villa to miss out on Champions League. That would start the ball rolling. The second thing would be, and this is the one to keep an eye on, if anyone's noticed with Aston Villa, there was the report that they're going to look to do a Chelsea and sell their women's team to help offset FFP issues because they're right on the knuckles edge. So that's something to consider. But would they do that? They also clearly want to recruit permanently Rashford and who's the PSG boy, Marco Asensio. They're on loan, remember. So there's quite a lot for Aston Villa to do, which means I know people say, they just sold Duran. Even with Duran, the reports are, they're right on that knife edge. So don't be surprised if they don't get Champions League if someone departs Aston Villa. I think they do more to hold on to Morgan Rogers. For me, he's their prime asset, but I would love him. Honestly, if someone wants to say to me right now, who would you pick as one of the summer recruits? If we can get Diaz out and get Morgan Rogers in, I honestly think he can be a next world beater. A next world beater. And I mean that. People will agree, disagree, whatever. Don't really care. I honestly think Morgan Rogers is that special a talent. The other name, though, if you look, and probably a more interesting name, and one I think is more realistic for a lot of clubs to keep an eye on, Boubacar Kamara. And it mentions his contract issues there. Let's be, again, frank on certain things. The injury history ruled out for a long time, wasn't he? Pretty much all of last season. But clocking up the minutes this season, it's important to say. He's already at 2,100 plus. So he could well, hit close to the 3,000 minute mark. Now, he has 2 years left to go on his contract this summer. With Aston Villa and their finances, are they going to want to give a bump to Boubacar Kamara? That's a question mark. If they're not in the Champions League, will he think about his future? I'd suspect he would. This is a talented player. The injury is the big question mark, but he seems to be recovering from it. That's all I can base it on. When you look at Boubacar Kamara's profile here on FBref, listen, ignore all the red at the top. That's the attacking bit. We don't care about that. That's not what he's there for. This is maybe more of a purer number 6. But when you look at certain stats, passes attempted, per 90 averages just over 53, which is a tiny bit lower than Liverpool's midfielders, but could be worked on. The pass completion, 88.7%, puts him in the 85th percentile. That's what we're looking at. It's these numbers here, people, isn't it? In the bottom area. His aerials 77th percentile. His clearances, 91st percentile. His tackles, 80th percentile. Even his interceptions, which tends to be what Grav is known for, 69th percentile. So he actually, in quite a lot of the defensive metrics, outshines Gravenberch, who I've overlaid him on there. Liverpool need physicality in that middle this season. And I know David Ornstein said it wasn't a priority. I'm not convinced at all. I still think you need another one in there without doubt, because you only trust 4 of them and the evidence is just there. It's clear to see as day. Saiga Pal saying there, yeah, absolutely, another good point. He's also played at centre-back for a few matches this season. Exactly. And when you expect probably, as much as it's going to hurt my heart, Endo to depart, it doesn't hurt to bring in someone that can cover centre-back at the same time as well. That is honestly why I put some real legs in this one. It'll all be, and listen, if Villa want to keep him, they're going to have to pay big time, aren't they? But 2 years in the summer, the only question mark around Boubacar Kamara, which you've got to be honest, and obviously they'll have run all the stats, they'll have info that we don't on this, but just in terms of pure information, as we know, 35 games he missed, but it's only been 6 this season, and he's going close to 3,000 minutes again. He's one of them that would generally be on my list. As in, I'm not saying he's at the top, but Wharton, Baleba, Kamara. If one of those comes in, I think it's absolutely massive for us. That's honestly what I believe. Kieran B, mentioning one, just seeing that there, saying, I'd really like Baleba, but yeah, King's ransom. That's honestly, Kieran and others, why I think Kamara could come into the mix. Villa's potential financial issues, 2 years left to go in his contract. If we are interested and there's truth in it and he gets wind of that, if Villa don't get Champions League, surely you fancy Kamara pushes on that one. And the fee could be, for 2 years left to go, very reasonable. Yeah. Escapado 007 mentions there, their wages then, so they got problem. Pretty sure it drops to 70% next season under the new rules, if I'm right in thinking that. It's an interesting one, Escapado. We did some digging on this on Anfield Index. The Premier League are running 2 systems, aren't they? The one where it's currently its normal BAU system, but they're shadowing the more UEFA style with that reducing the turnover. I can't remember what the exact description is. So it's not in place yet and there's no guarantee. Yeah, I think Kamara is an interesting one. The injury one is always going to be a question mark for people. And I get that. Some people may just go, no, straight away. Look at that. We got couples commenting. Gary and Jane Francis saying he's a massive injury risk. Good this season, but long injury risk. Could well be a no. Could well be a no straight away. But with all those other factors, I'm not going to dismiss it just right now. So those, ladies and gents, are your transfer links that are really doing the rounds from last night into today. And probably people have seen that we mentioned yesterday, Liam Delap scored, Morgan Rogers scored. Basically, a lot of the players are doing well to keep themselves in the headlines, aren't they? We'll see what develops. AI content-wise as well, as you say, you can see all the articles there, plenty for you to catch up on to fill the time. If you do want to build into the Fulham game nicely, we have got you covered. We've got Jan Mulby's preview from Mulby on the Spot with Trev. We had G&G with Eddie standing in. So it was Grizz and Eddie there talking through it. Also had, as we released yesterday, me and David Lynch on Media Masters did a full dive into links and players. He gave a few insights there at the same time. So plenty to get stuck into. And also, with it being a match day, you've got your normal things. You've got Young Jack doing the watch along. You've got the Gags Tandem show later on. It'll be Trev and Dave with the normal on Raw, all your normal content all the way through. So that's it, ladies and gents. Plenty to cover, plenty to build up ahead of this one. Ahead of this one, where Liverpool could extend their lead even further, 14 points clear. Whereas Liverpool would only need 8 more points to absolutely guarantee it. And obviously Arsenal have got their games and their permutation, so that comes into the mix. But what I would say, whatever happens, there's no point letting anything ruin your Sunday too much. Liverpool, as it sits right now, are 11 points clear. Their rivals only have 7 games left to play. There is so much to like. Absorb all the bitterness. Drink in all the tears. These are the days, my friend. And it's a day to be a Red. Which, on Saturday or Sunday even, the 6th of April, that was another Daily Red for Anfield.